Coming up, AI versus TB, healing hearts, if not minds, underfishing, and tree cops. Welcome to Total Annihilation, the good story podcast. That's part of my rebrand. I'm going to be focusing on some different stuff, but we're still bringing you good news. Don't worry. That is going to be germane. I'm just working some stuff out, guys. How are you? Welcome to the treehouse. Please pull up a cushion and order a pizza. Is that a thing? I am Niall Segay, aka Optimist Prime, your I don't know, host for this podcast. I forgot what I normally say. Thanks so much for joining me. How are you? How's your week going? Um, I don't know how my week is going, mostly because I'm recording this in the past. This was recorded Thursday. And this will be posted Tuesday. Listen, guys, I hope your week is off to a great start. I'm going to get to it. Let's get to the good news from our home office in Finger, Manitoba. Number 9. Hopi farmers, which is an indigenous tribe in Arizona. And yes, I did Google how to pronounce that, so take that. Are successfully practicing dry farming. It's an indigenous tradition that is thousands of years old. And they use it to grow corn, squash, beans in the Arizona desert with less than 10 inches of rain annually. So this method, which uses, surprisingly, no irrigation, fertilizer, or pesticides. These methods are attracting growing interest from scientists, strangely enough, as a potentially resilient solution to dealing with increasing droughts and unpredictable weather. There's this one gentleman, I'm going to call him Mr. Johnson because for some surreal reason, I didn't write down his first name. I think it's Michael, but that sounds so generic. This indigenous gentleman cultivates 24 varieties of indigenous corn and various beans, which studies show are nutritious. They're more nutritious. They're richer in protein and minerals than conventional crops. There's something called the Fred Aptivy. I did not Google how to pronounce that. That one just snuck past me. I was so focused on the Hopi. The Fred Aptivy Foundation is looking to establish a seed bank and a youth agricultural program, ensuring the next generation learn these essential adaptive practices. He says that, by the way, this Mr. Johnson, a little bonus to this crazy news, successfully planted and harvested corn from 800-year-old seeds found in a cave. Demonstrating the enduring viability and resilience of these indigenous strains, but also generating many questions for me, like, what are you looking for seeds in a cave? In an 800-year-old seeds? Did someone hand you a bag while you're on your way to trade a cow at the market? I find this fascinating. And obviously this is also amazing, and I hate that it is low-key amazing. I know. People who consider themselves rational and reasonable, whom I would probably more accurately describe as pessimistic, will listen to me talk about this and roll their eyes and be like, okay, sure, Pollyanna. But this is, I think, a low-key huge, because it is clearly a very effective practice in growing crops under very harsh conditions, which I think is going to be a handy thing to have in the next few years. And I think this is going to be, I mentioned this guy before on the podcast 1,000 episodes ago. Well, not 1,000 episodes ago, but like early on, like episode 3 or 4 or something like that. Norman Borlaug, like in the 1800s, everyone who was, quote, rational and reasonable, we're like, we're doomed. The species is doomed because we do not have enough land to produce enough food to keep everyone alive. So there was dire prediction after dire prediction. And Norman Borlaug and a bunch of unnamed Mexican scientists, which I'd be willing to bet money, contributed way more than the credit they're getting, came came up with different ways to grow crops more efficiently and produce more calories. And now we're here. Now, according to Hannah Ritchie, we create enough calories every day for every human to have 5,000 calories a day. So this is one of those things where I just, you know, down the road, a few years from now, we're all going to be doing this. Like they're going to be adopting this in regions that need it. A lot of lives are going to be saved, and no one's going to mention it. No one, because we're just going to be moving on to the next thing we're terrified about. You people are fucking exhausting. Uh, oh my God. Number 8. This is a kind of a follow-up to a thing that I reported a few episodes ago. South Africa has become the first country to register lenacapavir. Remember that one? The one that broke my brain with the pronunciation? They call it Len here, which I very much appreciate because I think they heard the episode. They're like, all right, fine, let's throw them a bone. This is if you don't remember, a revolutionary anti-HIV injection. You do it twice a year, and it's pretty much foolproof against HIV. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere in the, like, I think it was 99% effective. The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, SAPRA, registered Len in remarkably just like 65 days. That just like, we're like, let's get it out. Let's get it out ASAP. This Len is described, of course, as I just mentioned, as the most effective HIV prevention measure thus far. And so there's a lot of hope that this will bring an end to the AIDS epidemic if widely adopted, which I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be widely adopted. The Department of Health has already secured doses for 460,000 people. And the rollout will begin as early as February. There's also going to be generic versions of Len that are expected to become available at competitive prices. So this is, yeah, I guess 2026 is going to be the year where it's the beginning of the end for HIV. And I don't think we appreciate that win. This is the most infuriating thing about having a podcast like this. It's where you bring news that I don't know, just because good news moves slowly. Um, we don't appreciate when you say, oh, it's almost like if you were to beam someone from the 80s here. First of all, they'd be like, what? Donald Trump? But then the other thing would be like, there's no way. Like AIDS is brutal. It's ravaging the entire gay community and good chunks of the straight community. Yeah. So anyways, this is amazing. This will obviously mean more cases of chlamydia and gonorrhea in the gay community. Because if you thought they were loosey-goosey with PrEP, that's just a pill you have to take a day, 2 shots a year. Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of raw dogging. Yeah. Anyways, this is huge, guys. Huge. Yeah, like Chris Rock in his special Bigger and Blacker, 1999. So not 30 years ago. Was talking about how, like, literally the quote was, they will never come up with a cure for AIDS because there's way more money in the treatment. Now, this isn't a cure for AIDS, but if you eliminate HIV AIDS just through prevention, it's cure adjacent, which no one saw 30 years ago. So again, I want to underscore this. Is that 2 stories? That's 2 stories where there were instances where we did not foresee a good thing. We only foresaw bad things, and then cut to 50 years later, 20 years later, or in this case, almost 30 years later. And it is very much the mirror opposite. And no one gives a shit. I don't know. We enjoy panicking. We don't enjoy good news. What am I doing? Why is this my brand, guys? Number 7. Mobile X-ray machines are being paired with artificial intelligence algorithms, allowing for near instantaneous results in tuberculosis detection instead of taking weeks for lab results. So this solves the critical shortage of radiologists, especially in low and middle income countries. But it's also being applied for hard to reach regions or refugee camps, and it's this is like obviously a life-saving diagnostic. This has cut the number of required sputum samples by half, and sputum is exactly what you think it is. That is a well-named name, sputum. It's like, oh, you got like a little fluid in your lung? Give me a hork. What do we call that hork? We call it sputum. Bang on. Le mot juste, as the French say. Uh, so this cuts the number of required sputum samples in half, which makes the process faster, more efficient, and cheaper. Because I guess sputum analysis machines very pricey. You got to get in that game. Well, I guess not now. Now that AI and is starting to make this not obsolete, but way less required. This paves the way, by the way. This little thing paves the way for this technology to be integrated for rapid diagnoses for other conditions like lung cancer, pneumonia, other cardiovascular diseases. Again, fucking huge, huge, huge. Uh, like I'm not a doctor. You tell me if saving weeks on a TB diagnosis isn't as big a difference maker as it feels it is, because I think it's pretty fucking huge. Also, I'm kind of curious, do you think they pair this with like Alexa? I would say the other one, but I have an iPhone, and if I say that, I'm using the iPhone to record the video for this. I don't want my AI to go crazy, but yes, if they use it with Alexa, I think that'd be funny. It's like, Alexa, scan for TB. Calling Phoebe. No, Alexa, cancel. Cancel scan for tuberculosis. Searching for hypnosis in your area. Oh my God. Well, he's dead now. Uh, we're going to move on. I don't know if we needed to hear that one. Number 6, MIT engineers have developed a drug patch designed to be placed directly on the heart after a heart attack to promote healing and regeneration of damaged cardiac tissue. So the patch carries a bunch of drugs and then releases them in a pre-programmed schedule, which is amazing for people who've had heart surgery and probably great for like people who go to a rave. I think it's like, you could sell those on the side, make extra money. But I'll focus. This is me on my meds, by the way. In the studies on rats, 50% had a reduction in the damaged heart tissue, and they increased their survival rate by 33%. And it also inhibits scar tissue from forming. It helps them recover significantly more cardiac function than is currently possible. So this is kind of a huge advancement, I think, again, for someone who doesn't understand the nitty-grits, but this feels huge. Also, the other thing, I was weirdly, coincidentally talking to a friend of mine who he was talking to someone who deals with people who have had heart transplants. And the gist is that I think this would be very handy, this little patch, because there's a lot of people who apparently have trouble, let's be generous and say, remembering to take their medication and not phrase it the way my friend did, which was, well, they didn't seem to care. They didn't seem to care, which is weird. Which is weird. You dodge a bullet and then you're not going to take pills. But, people are odd. I don't know what kind of person I would be if you stuck someone else's heart in my chest. Uh, well, I would probably be very distressed if you didn't remove my old heart first. That would be like 2 hearts. What's the other heart even doing there? Is it connected to anything? Is it just sitting there like just garbage in your basement? Number 5. China is now being recognized as a potential driver for saving the world from climate disaster due to its massive, insane renewable energy revolution. Chinese emissions are plateauing. Their coal appears to have peaked, and emissions have fallen by 1% this year, which again, for a billion people, 1%, pretty meaty. China has installed over a terawatt of solar capacity, which is more than double the capacity of the United States and Europe combined. It's not a contest, but it kind of is. Um, China, by the way, now makes more money exporting green technology than the US does exporting oil. So drill this, baby. And China's overseas investments in clean energy have exceeded 225 billion since 2011. If you adjust for inflation, that surpasses the Marshall Plan, which is the money that all of the white nations put into making Europe pretty again after they cut her face in the 40s. Or his face, we don't have to go that route. We don't have to genderfy a region of the planet. By the way, this is also, obviously, I've stated this before, it's driving positive economic choices in countries that could really use options. Like, for example, Nepal, electric vehicles now make up 76% of new car sales. Global fossil fuel use in industry peaked in 2014, and sales of petrol and diesel cars peaked in 2017. I'm going to say that again. Sales of petrol and diesel cars peaked in 2017. And all these countries, a lot of countries, can now import clean technologies from China, which allows them to not be dependent on petrostates. And also, again, a lot more money in your back pocket because you don't have to pay for sunlight. You can now take that money, invest it in your people, invest it in your country. So I oh, it drives me crazy that this is not news anywhere. This is not news anywhere. This is an insane positive domino effect. I think it's going to happen. Good things are going to happen faster than people realize. And it's going to be low key fun watching all of the quote unquote realists try to find the cloud in this silver lining. Okay. Cause like, again, if you're as old as me, first of all, I'm sorry. But secondly, you'll remember 2001, I think it was 2001, Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth came out and it was over. It was over. But no one saw this. There's no mention of China. There's no mention of anyone having any kind of innovation. We were all certain that it was going to be oil all the way, and we were just bummed. So again, are you seeing the theme? Are you hearing it in your earballs? Again, if there is a story that has made you distressed and that it's like, oh my God, we're doomed, we tend to think that. We very often tend to think we're doomed. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think it's like it's a nervous tick of our species. I guess we think it's this part of our brain that we're like, oh my God, if I think the worst, then the worst won't happen. And let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I do it myself. I'm doing it right now. There is not a majority part of me, but there is a significant part of my brain that is very afraid of my putting out this podcast because optimists always die early. There's a part of me that thinks I am definitely going to die early, and I fucking hate that. The guy who wrote It's Better Than It Looks, 2018, great book. You should read it. He got some cancer. I think it was pancreatic cancer. Died horrifically. And Donald Trump will bury us all. It's just there. I get it. So I get it is what I'm saying. Emotionally, I get it. But rationally, statistically, look back at all the times, go back to all of the Y2Ks every time, we constantly think it's over, and then it's not over. And then we forget the thing that made us think it was over. And then we just move on to the next thing that we're forgetting out about. Just bear that in mind. Number 4, an unlikely partnership between fishermen and environmental activists has led to a remarkable recovery in U.S. fisheries. So more than 50 U.S. fish stocks, 50, have bounced back, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So this basically the fishermen and environmentalists got together, and the environmentalist was like, "Hey, here's your game plan. Do this. instead of going crazy, and the fishermen were like, all right, let's do it up. And it's created this vast economic improvements for fishermen. They've reduced their cost by 80%. 80%. What were they doing? And they've increased their profit by 100%. I need an environmentalist to advise me on my career. Those numbers just hit me. What if you are one of these environment? I'm calling the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I'm calling them. I'm like, hey man, listen, I'm just gonna run something past you. Can you chat GPT it for me? Can you chat human? Anyways, so U.S. fishing commercial fishing jobs grew by 38% between 2011 and 2022, and 94% of fisheries in the U.S. are now operating sustainably. Sustainably, yes, which means they're not burning through it. They're not being dicks. I guess that's the other. Is that the official definition? Sustainability, not being a dick. Which is just this is it's a lovely example, but it also confirms that it can be done. Environmentalists and other people can get together, come up with a solution, and maybe we could say, wait, the environmentalists not all insane. Maybe they do know how to make a plan that's going to make me some money. Also, this is going to kill the world's deadliest catch, right? Like, what are you doing? Why are you Why are you risking your life in Alaska? Just go south and get some red snappers. Um, but yeah, I think there's a fair trade-off. Number 3, Moldova, which once relied on large institutions housing over 17,000 children. So they've successfully reformed their child care system over the past 2 decades with the help of nonprofits like UNICEF. They focused on preventing family separation and keeping children with their birth families whenever possible. And so now the number of children remaining in orphanage is like 700, which that's a big cut from 17,000 to 700. And their goal is to close all of these institutions by 2027. They have like community-based early childhood interventions and education centers to support struggling families. And so these centers have helped something like 1,337 children and helps them from prevents them from entering the care system. They've also successfully created a network of compassionate families for foster care. Um, and it's also introduced an inclusive education to destigmatize and support children with special needs. This is incredible. Like, that's crazy. But the other thing that I thought, I know I'm being weird, but what's wrong with those last 700 kids? I'm guessing they're like one of those, they're like those spooky kids you see in horror movies, you know? Like, oh, did you want to be adopted, little boy? I'm speaking with Douglas, silly. He wants to wear your skin. Or whatever the Moldovan version of Douglas is. Maybe it's Douglas. Number 2, violent crime in India has recorded a decisive and significant decline over the past decade. This is pretty intense. Congrats to India, by the way. Good for you guys. The total number of violent crimes across categories of rape, dowry deaths, riots, and murders fell by 29%. 2023 figure is lower than the number recorded 20 years ago. So their figures have dropped to below 2005 figures. It's particularly encouraging trend in crimes against women. Sexual assaults have declined 19%, dowry deaths 27%, murders have declined 18%, riots fell 40%, and they've introduced new stricter provisions for time-bound investigations, and including a dedicated chapter of 37 sections focused specifically on crimes against women and children. So that's amazing. That is amazing. Good for you guys. That is fucking great. Also, not to make it weird, how did riots drop 40%? That is the other crimes, but like, the other crimes, obviously you're not doing those crimes, but I got to prevent myself from rioting every day. How did you get a drop in 40%? Maybe their sports team just got better? Sports teams, assuming India, 900 million people, probably have more than one intramural basketball squad. That was a weird dismount to a really good story. I'm sorry, guys. You know, some of them ADHD get them. I don't know what to tell you. Number one, Interpol, in partnership with the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, has launched a major global effort to dismantle criminal networks responsible for illegal logging, timber trafficking, and gold mining, which is just so exciting. I really love this. You know what? We'll get through the story and then I'll ramble. Or not. Maybe I'll ramble halfway through. I feel like I've already started. So this is aimed at stopping criminals who are generating billions in profits, illicit money from destroying the planet's forests. Law enforcement effort will focus strategically on protecting vital tropical forests in key countries, including Brazil, Ecuador, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Peru. It is weird that Canada's not on that list. It's just weird to me. It's weird. I believe we were, and possibly, I don't know if we still are. If you know this, feel free to shoot me an email, totalannihilation@gmail.com. We were referred to as the Amazon of the North. I feel like we are allowed to skate a lot. Anyways, we move on. This, by the way, follows a major crackdown in the Amazon basin where Brazilian police, supported by Interpol, destroyed 270 illegal mining dredges. That is doing work, bro. Wow. Which is a significant blow against criminal gold smuggling networks. And this initiative is expanding its work to specifically target illegal gold mining, a leading cause in deforestation and mercury pollution. So this has led to the seizure of millions of dollars in illicit wood and minerals, pardon me, and uncovering hundreds of environmental crimes across multiple countries. That is amazing. I think that's great. Um, I think the reason I put this one in, by the way, is because I feel like there's a lot of people who have like a vibe of like, if you hear about something like this, like illegal mining or whatever, the reflex is always like, yeah, but no one's ever going to do anything. Like the government's not going to do anything. They don't care. I mean, it's hard to remember that, there is no them. There is no them. You got someone in government, you're going to have one or two psychopaths, sure. But by and large, people are going to be like, people want to do the right thing. People want to have like a life that has some meat on it where you're like, oh, managed to help this. So, yeah, I think this is great. I love this for obviously multiple reasons. The reasons I just said, the fact that it's going to really clearly help the environment. Also, I think it's cool that someone's going to be in prison and they're going to be like, oh, having a conversation with someone. What are you in for? Chop some trees. It's not a very alpha dog move. Guys, all right, listen, I'm still working on the rebrand for the podcast. I'm still working on what's going to go on this thing. I'm still working on the logistics of guests. I don't know if I'm going to have them. We're going to do like a Zoom thing. I would rather it be in person, but where? I'm going to have to figure that part out. But for right now, because I haven't figured all that out, on the advice of a friend of mine, I'm bringing back, this time I'm going to call it 25 seconds of good news. We're going to do this. I don't know. I genuinely don't know if the timer is going to work. It's always weird. There might be some retread because I just threw them all in one doc. And so you might already have heard these. I'm already nervous. I'm already nervous in my head of like, you just put a timer on something and you get like, okay, here we go. Welsh government has proposed law making it illegal for politicians to deliberately mislead people. The Global South is deploying renewable energy twice as fast as the Global North. A study from University of Oxford showed we underestimate how kind the world really is. The Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, has prevented 19 million deaths since 2000. A trial involving the injection of neural stem cells allowed a paralyzed man to walk again and another to regain motion in his... Oh, God! I'm so sorry. Sorry, I yelled there. That went so much faster than it should have. I'm going to finish that sentence. A trial involving injection of neural stem cells allowed a paralyzed man to walk again and another to regain motion in his arms and legs. That is a story worth Googling, by the way. It was 50% effective. And I feel like that rate's probably going to go up. I mean, I don't think they're going to be like, well, only 50%. Let's move on to something else. Anyways, so yeah, that is 25 seconds of good news. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's the podcast, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Please remember, rate and review if you have not already. Sign up to my newsletter. It's going to be in the side of my bio. You can follow me at Nile on all of the socials. I'm on Beaverton. I'm a regular panelist on the Beaverton podcast, as well as Comedians in Dungeons Getting Dragons, which comes out next week if you're into good, happy, fun times. If this show did anything for you, and you can, please buymeacoffee.com/total Nileation. Go there and buy me a coffee, please and thank you. My email is totalnihilation@gmail.com. And guys, if you cannot be a shining example, be a terrifying warning. Let's get it on three, everybody. 1, 2, 3.